Gentlemen, 70. And this is just a quarter-sized scale model. As you can now appreciate, a full-sized example would have a range of some 240 kilometers, deliver a shell weighing some half a ton, and fire every 20 seconds.
If it's reliable enough,
whined the Luftwaffe officer. The finished cannon will fire every 20 seconds, and unlike the Paris gun, the K5, or any other traditional artillery piece, this gun barrel will not degrade, and will not be damaged by repeated fire.
If it can be fired repeatedly.
Uncle! The distant scream tore through the room and stopped the argument dead. A Schutzstaffel officer leaned toward the viewing window and started.
What on earth?
Across the muddy valley, a small figure in a red coat could be seen running from the cannon toward the blockhouse. She skidded and slid, almost toppling over in the deep sludge, but she remained upright and began to climb the hill.
Uncle!
She was pursued by 2 soldiers, themselves incapable of staying on their feet, twice falling into the sludge in their haste. The child's beret fell off as she clambered up the slope, long braids of golden hair swinging as she moved.
Gottverdammt,
swore the man in the dark suit loudly.
Herr Generalmajor, that is... Take me out, sir, immediately.
He turned for the door and began shooing the officers out of the way. They tried to move, but the room was crowded, so they bumped into one another in the gloom. Those farthest away were confused, and everyone began asking questions. By the time the door was opened, and the man reached the top of the steps to the open air, trailing the Generalmajor, the girl had summited the brow of the hill. She was maybe 12 years old, small and slight. Mud was plastered up her legs, and the hem of her coat was thick with sludge. Her eyes were red with tears, and her face was contorted in hysterical panic. Glistening snot ran from her nose.
Uncle!
She howled, spotting the man and charging the final few meters toward him. She leapt onto him, forcing him to stagger back a few steps, almost crashing into the collection of officers who had gathered behind him. He managed to catch her weight in his arms and hugged her close.
Ursula, I told you to wait in the car.
You were gone so long, I didn't think you were coming back, she wailed, hyperventilating and hiccuping in her rush to spill the words out. So I went looking for you, and there was a big bang, and then these soldiers started yelling at me and...
Apologize to the General at once,
he growled.
Herr Haller,
the General coughed.
Now, Ursula.
What was your daughter? The General tried again.
My niece, Herr Generalmajor.
Then he snapped at the girl.
Ursula.
Sorry, Herr Generalmajor, the girl wailed, and, with a shriek, began to sob again.
We must leave. Gentlemen.
The man nodded to the crowd of uniforms behind the General and began to stride away over the hilltop.
Herr Haller, a most exciting test, Herr Generalmajor. I look forward to the contract.
The man called over his shoulder, and the crying of the little girl. The General found himself staring at the retreating figure, as did the guards and officers. After a moment, the spell broke, and everyone shambled back to the bunker, murmuring as if nothing had happened at all. The man closed the car door and started the engine. The Mercedes grunted in the cold air and came to life. The little girl in the passenger seat stopped crying and tossed stray hairs away from her face. After a long, wet snort, she snapped her fingers at the man. He handed her a folded handkerchief that she shook loose before blowing her nose noisily.
I'm getting too old for this quatsch,
she spat. The man smiled.
Did you get it?
Of course, she murmured, pulling what looked like a large grey firework from her coat.
Then you aren't too old.
She made a face and then held the device up to the daylight that limped through the windshield. I don't understand the fuss. This is just an oversized...